The round of 12 opens tonight at a track known for fantastic finishes among NASCAR's best. Watkins Glen usually sits in a midsummer date on the NASCAR calendar, soaking up the July or August sunshine, but sits in September this year following a schedule shuffle, meaning we're going racing in scenic upstate New York just a week before autumn begins. It's championship season, and the road to the Icon title runs through Watkins Glen. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Watkins Glen, New York. My name is Andrew Cardinale V. I've got Zach Murtis alongside, and this is going to be a somewhat rushed broadcast intro. We're going to go straight to racing this evening. No boring stuff or anything like that with qualifying. In fact, here in just one moment, you're going to see cars on the racetrack about to begin this race. And with a couple more clicks, we're going to have graphics on screen. We apologize for things kind of getting started a little bit late here today. Some technical difficulties, but we've made the grid, we've made the start of the race, and we're about to go racing at Watkins Glen. Jacob Smith from pole down to turn number 1. With the race lead, Cody Neal third. He's going to slot in behind the 78 of Brian Smith. Nathan Finnegan there in the 4th spot.
Up the S's we go, side by side for the 2nd spot, but it looks like it's going to fizzle out. Brian Smith takes over that 2nd place position where he started. Finnegan tags the curb, drops a little bit further back, but now Cody Neal on the back bumper of that 78 car as they roll through. He's going to take a look going into the bus stop. Thinks better of it, and those cars are going to pop the curb through the bus stop and into the carousel. Oh, Brian Smith is off.
Brian Smith slow through the bus stop after getting jacked up over some curbing. Gets back on the racetrack here in the 3rd spot, racing with Finnegan for that position. And Smith's going to drop to 4th. Down the back straight into turn number 6 for the first time. Turn 7 will wrap up the lap. It happens quickly here at Watkins Glen. Short lap times, only about 2.5 miles. And that's a full lap around Watkins Glen International. Now, as this broadcast gets settled in, we'll go over the same usual things that we do with points and whatnot. But for now, we're going to let this race settle in. 54 laps. Stage 1 will run for the entirety of 12 laps here to get this race started. It'll be a 12-lap stage 1, 12-lap stage 2, then a 30-lap stage 3. And you see 3 change sets. The TBD laps, by the way, is going to be somewhere in the nature of 21 laps on a tank of gas. So it's going to be a straight-up run for each one of these first couple of stages. Just tires and fuel, no pit stops needed. And then a straight-up 4-tire change, I'd imagine, for stage number 3. 1 stop in that stage, nothing too crazy.
That it is, and I think the big thing that we're looking at today is playoff pictures. We've got 2 drivers up front right now, Andrew, that are not currently in the playoffs. First driver in the playoffs here tonight, Nathan Finnegan. He's running in the 3rd spot, fighting with Brian Smith. You've got Cameron Thompson running 5th, Ryan Patty, Vincent Loria, who missed last week. And then you've got Romney, Adam Ball, and Charlie Widener going through your top 10 as Brian Smith takes a look to the inside on Nathan Finnegan. They'll draw alongside each other going down the front straightaway, but Finnegan should have the run here, maybe not. Down into turn number 1, Brian Smith will clear Nathan Finnegan as Cody Neal has a bit of tire smoke coming out of that number 4 Mustang, and up to the F they go, Brian Smith up to 3rd.
We'll take a look at point standings here briefly going into this race. This is race number 29 of 37. You see here, Brian Smith comes in with the advantage. This is the first race of the round of 12. Brian Smith has the points advantage of 58 points above the cutoff line. Talking about that cutoff line, we're watching guys like Adam Ball, Charlie Widener, Kyle Purcell, Jacob Gladlich, Joshua Clemens, Kevin Gunther, Zach Luckett, and Cody Eldred. We'll cover this some more as this race goes on, especially under the cautions this evening that we get for stages, but this is a quick look at your point standings. Get a screenshot, take a picture, do what you got to do. Keep this in mind. Everything is very close, right around that cutoff line. 8 drivers separated by 8 points. Brian Smith still here hounding the 4 car of Cody Neal, and you see Neal get a little bit wide there out of turn number 7. I'm used to calling that turn 11, but it's turn 7 now, and here we go. A big lunge on the outside from Brian Smith.
That was very, very close on that left rear quarter panel. Easily could have turned away. And gotten into quite a bit of an incident there, but it looks like they're all going to filter out. Cody Neal hangs on to that second spot, but now they're all super close to each other. You can throw a blanket over those three for that second spot, and all of this fighting, Andrew, has allowed Jacob Smith to drive away by about 3.5 seconds almost as we look through the rest of the field.
Yeah, just some battles throughout the field. You can see there's some damage here to the 99 of Robert Bluen. But you mentioned the race leader getting away by 3.5 seconds nearly, and you're right, Jacob Smith has taken off. Cody Neal may be holding these guys up a little bit. Cody's pretty fast for sure. He's second place, qualified up front, but seems like he might be just a tick slower than Brian Smith. It seems like that 78 could go faster as Ryan Patty looks to the inside of Cameron Thompson. This is for 5th. And that pass is made.
Ryan Patty up into the 5th spot above Cameron Thompson. Vincent Loria chasing them down right behind. You know, Andrew, one thing that's always been so interesting to me about Watkins Glen is that from the camera angle, as we see one car swinging wide back there, you know, from the camera angle, it looks like there's banking to that turn 1 drop here at Watkins Glen as they go into what is somewhat of a short shoot up to the S's. But when you're driving here at Watkins Glen, it kind of doesn't feel that way. It just feels like a straight shot down the hill into a corner, and then you go up through the short shoot into the S's. You know, visually, to me, Watkins Glen seems a little, in a sense, visually deceiving, if you know what I mean. Oh, Brian Smith down to the inside of Cody Neal. They're going to draw alongside each other going into the last corner here. Brian Smith along the outside of that 4 car. Almost contact there as Brian Smith gets the nose in front of Cody Neal. Maybe, no, going down into turn 1. Sending it on the brakes, still hanging it around the outside. Finnegan watching, waiting in the wind. Cody Neal hangs on. Still side by side going into the S's. Now he's clear. Now Cody Neal gets back into that second spot. Brian Smith falls back into 3rd. Nathan Finnegan, he's going to be a little bit patient here. Hang on to that 4th spot. But this has really allowed Jacob Smith to pull away halfway through stage 1. Now they're blocking down the straightaway into the bus stop.
Cody Neal blocking there a little bit. Brian Smith gets a little bit sideways there through the inner loop, through the curving there at the bus stop chicane, and pays the price for it. Falls back from the 4 car just ever so slightly. Now nearly a 5-second lead for Jacob Smith, en route maybe to a stage 1 victory here. A little deeper in this top 10, Vincent Loria runs in 7th. He's one of the cars in the very back of the frame as Smith looks to the inside of turn 6. I want to cover more of the field here, Zach, but these 3 are keeping it exciting.
These 3. How about these 4? Ryan Patty's come into the mix now. He is coming in to this battle after all the fighting and everything that's been going on. This has allowed Ryan Patty to close in to these 3 that have been fighting for that second spot. Cody Neal still hanging on. Brian Smith, Nathan Finnegan starting to separate a little bit now. But look at the ticker. Halfway through stage 1, Jacob Smith 5.5 seconds in front of this group.
Vincent Loria, trouble in turn 1 on the exit of the corner anyways. He's going to nearly get swept up by Kevin Gunther. That wasn't the best rejoin in the world, but a driver who you said, Zach, ran his first lap on the racetrack all week in qualifying, having some trouble here. We knew he'd be fast, or at least we thought he'd be fast. We know he's competitive on these road courses, but today seems like an off day for him. Maybe didn't get the practice he needed.
That it is. Not to mention, you've got 3 cars in for the stage points right now. Finnegan, Patty, and Smith, who has dropped all the way back to the 5th spot now. That's going to take away points from Vincent Loria, especially since he's one of those drivers, like we said, Andrew, he missed a couple of races because he had some prior engagements. As you see him going into turn number 1, pops the curbing right there, swings real wide, and it just steps around on him. And he tags that inside retaining wall. At least he hit it in the soft spot, so he didn't get too much damage. And here's the unsafe rejoin you were talking about. He waited. There's some tire smoke back there. Someone ran wide. There's Brzezowski. And then you see Gunther. Oh, my goodness. That could have been very, very bad for a couple of playoff cars.
Not the greatest rejoin in the world, not the worst, though, as he gets back in line here ahead of Charlie Widener for the 14th position. And back up to that fight we were talking about earlier with Brian Smith. He has fallen back now. He's down to 5th spot. You called it out. Not sure exactly what happened between the 78 car and the 6 and 30, but now the 6 of Nathan Finnegan right on the back end of the 4 of Cody Neal. Cody Neal maybe should have been in these playoffs, missed some races, couldn't quite make it, ends up on the out. So he's playing spoiler to these guys right now, holding them out of a couple of really good positions, possibly here in stage 1. They would love that second place points. And there goes Finnegan, a lockup from Neal. Right at turn 7.
Really starting to get interesting now. Ryan Patty is on that back bumper of Cody Neal, looking to possibly take that spot away. Not a lot of laps left in the stage, Andrew, and these drivers are looking to maximize their points if they can't take a win away. And Jacob Smith looks like he's trying to play playoff spoiler as he's 7 seconds in front of Nathan Finnegan as these drivers make their way up the hill through the S's.
We haven't had a non-playoff winner yet, so this would be the first if Jacob Smith is able to do it. We saw Adam Ball win at Daytona, then it was, Darlington. We had Brian Smith go to victory lane. Atlanta saw Ryan Patty go back to victory lane. So 3 playoff drivers won those 3 playoff races in the round of 16. Now, as I'm realizing, I want to clarify something briefly here. There are 4 drivers. It's been a long broadcast week for me here. 4 drivers that I didn't quite get the colors updated on that are no longer in the playoffs. And we can take a look here at the point standings. And I want to clarify this and own up to this mistake. Brock Hersey, Sean Purcell, actually I guess it'll just be those 2, will still have the playoff yellow on their numbers. They are no longer in the playoffs. So I want to clarify that now before stage 1 ends and everything. It shouldn't have too much of an effect tonight, but want to make sure that's clear and out there. Otherwise, everything should be all set. It's been a long week, Zach, and a long weekend as here comes Brian Smith on Cody Neal. That 4 car is fading and fading fast.
That it is, and we all know you have a lot of other broadcast opportunities and production capabilities that you're always doing around the United States when it comes to a lot of short track series, especially with Pit Row TV. So your work, as always, is appreciated. Cody Neal, big slide, side by side into bus stop. Cameron Thompson almost gets hit as Cody Neal comes back onto the racetrack. That could have been absolutely terrible for Cody Neal and Cameron Thompson, but everybody makes it through. Brian Smith moves through to 4th position. Cody Neal falls all the way back to 6th. And I do want to touch on really quick, Andrew, the fact of the playoff drivers. I know there are a couple of drivers that have their playoff numbers still, Sean Purcell and Brock Hersey, but they're just about out of the picture for the night, as Sean Hersey's just about out of this race. Or Sean Purcell, oh my goodness. And Jacob Smith is in the pit lane. This is interesting.
Coming down and taking service here at the end of stage 1. Remember, he's not in the playoffs. He's not worried about stage points or anything. He's going after the overall win, so he's going to get himself this track position now by pitting here and staying out at the stage break. Nathan Brzezowski is going to do the same, so they will be able to stay out here. He's going to get all 4 tires as well. He'll pit now, rejoin the field in, let's see, it looks like the 16th position or so, right behind Chase Lewis in the 84 car. An interesting strategy move. I think for everybody else, Nathan Finnegan, everybody in the playoffs, they need to stay up here on the racetrack and get all the points they can.
That they do. Nathan Finnegan now leading the charge as they come through the last couple of corners. It should be white flag on the stage here. So Finnegan, Patty, and Smith looking to score some stage points. The only driver that's still in the playoffs, no, there's multiple drivers still in the playoffs that are outside of the stage points. But the driver closest to earning stage points right now that is outside looking in is Kyle Purcell. He's sitting in the 6th spot right now, right in front of Clemens, who he is fighting with on that cut line as they both get very, very loose coming out of the final corner. And Clemens right now, if I'm not mistaken, one of the highest sitting drivers who is below the cut line. He's 1 point below the cut line right now.
Well, these guys, unfortunately, I don't think are going to get stage points. They're 10 seconds back of 5th place Cody Neal. So it would take a large mistake out of the 4 car or a miracle send here out of these guys to get up there and pass the 4. He's already through the bus stop. But Brian Smith and Ryan Patty might get to fighting here. This is for 2nd and 3rd place. On board with Brian Smith. Down to turn number 6. Is he going to get close enough here in turn 6 or no? It looks like the answer is going to be no. He's going to try, though. Closes in ever so slightly. Tries again here down in turn 7. He's going to get close, but is going to have nothing for Ryan Patty in 2nd place. Nathan Finnegan wins the stage. It'll be Ryan Patty 2nd, Brian Smith 3rd, Cameron Thompson 4th, and Cody Neal in the 5th spot. Cameron Thompson, by the way, has just come alive. As soon as the playoffs started, that driver who missed the playoffs has been one of the best. He's been in all 3 finishes, I feel like, of each of these playoff races, certainly Daytona and Atlanta, and now up here in stage point territory in stage 1. But the show is stolen here by driver 6, Nathan Finnegan. Stays out on the racetrack when Jacob Smith pits and assumes the race lead, Zach, and will win stage 1.
That he will. Finnegan maximizing the points that he needs right now, and he's one of the drivers that we have picked right now to make that Final 4. Brian Smith, Vincent Loria, Nathan Finnegan, and Ryan Patty. Those top 4 have been absolutely dominant all season. And to see them in the Final 4 would more than likely be, I want to say, about an 85 to 90% chance in my book right now. Charlie Widener, Kyle Purcell. I think those two may just surprise us right now, but as it stands, that Final 4 looks almost locked in with how these guys have been performing.
Well, these guys will come around and meet the pace car out of turn 1, it looks like, and there we go. There's the pace truck headed up the S's. So the field will reset, and this will be a shorter stage number 2 by effect here of the stage caution, shortening things up, using some of these laps here at the beginning of stage 2. But we can then take a look at the track map, Zach, and do all the stuff that we usually would have done before the race got started. Here's a look at the Watkins Glen International road course. Got turn 1, the 90, then up through the S's at turns 2, 3, and 4, the bus stop, then turn 5, the carousel, and then finally 6 and 7 to wrap up this short course layout, the cup layout. Sports cars tend to run the the boot layout. There we go. Which you see there in gray above the carousel. Those extra turns make it an 11-turn course. We're not using that today, running the short layout, which NASCAR has used for a very long time. And personally, I prefer this layout. It's just so much fun. But as our own Emerson Arden once put it, it's a Popeye's biscuit away from being an oval.
A Popeye's biscuit?
A Popeye's biscuit away from being an oval. Now, remember, he lives in Texas, so as far as chicken and biscuit places that go, he's going to have Popeyes. We have Bojangles here in the Carolinas, so I guess we could say a Bojangles biscuit away from being an oval.
Say it, but I prefer Cookout.
Oh, well, they're not even in the same category. So, anyway, we digress. We will have pit stops here this time by everybody's going to come on in and take service. This should be a straight-up 4-tire and fuel change, but we might see some creativity. Maybe some 2 tires, maybe some no tires to try and get some track position here. I doubt it, but who knows? Zach is... Oh, wow.
Oh, Ryan Smith.
Ryan Smith maybe has been saving fuel and is going to try and go and get all this track position here. Jacob Smith is pitting, which confuses me.
Or is it the pit lane's closed? The red lights are on.
I think that's a graphical error. Because there's no way we'd have 20 cars pitting. Could you imagine, though?
But I'm seeing the red lights on my camera as well. That's... I would hope that they don't get black flags. Nobody's received a black flag, then you might be right. It might actually be a graphical error. I'm so confused right now.
Down and away quickly for a lot of drivers, actually. Some fuel-only stops for Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, Adam Ball, Jacob Smith. Jacob Smith pitting here is so confusing. You've got all the makings of restarting as the race leader, or at least second or something, all to pit again? I'm a little bit confused.
There's something going on that we don't know about.
Well, let's grab stage 1 winner Nathan Finnegan and talk with driver number 6, who wins stage 1, takes all those stage points. Nathan, good to talk to you this evening. How's the car feel?
Hey, Andrew, appreciate you doing the broadcast tonight. Feels good. Little bit. The springs aren't so good through the bus stop with the lesser fuel and the lesser weight in the car, but you know, we're working with what we got, and yeah, I mean, we'll take the stage win. Definitely plan on points racing tonight, so yeah, we'll take whatever we can get.
And the fuel-only call is pretty aggressive, I feel like, this early in the race to take no tires. How do the tires feel? How worn are they?
Not too bad. I mean, they're pretty limited wear at this point. I feel like they still haven't replicated the tire model for road stuff quite yet as they do in real life with the next-gen stuff. But yeah, we're probably taking tires during stage 2, though. Wouldn't recommend going the whole race in the original set, but another 10-12 laps, we should be fine.
Were you surprised to see Jacob Smith pit from the race lead there at the end of the stage?
Particularly, he's got really quick pace in that 21 Wood Brothers Ford, and I know that, you know, he's probably going for a race win, since, you know, he's not in the playoff picture necessarily. He's a part-time guy, so you know, it kind of fell on our lap to get the stage win, and we'll certainly take it.
Well, him pitting then didn't surprise you. Did it surprise you to see him pit this last time by when you guys all pitted?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know if he missed his box or if there was maybe something with his settings that he didn't have quite right when he came down, but yeah, that kind of surprised me a little bit.
Well, there you go. A little bit of surprise anyway in the 6th camp, and I think everybody else when the 21 car pitted. Nathan, good to talk to you, and hopefully we can talk to you again here as the race goes on.
Appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you.
Nathan Finnegan, stage 1 winner. Move him back down and let him chat with his team. I think that 21 car pitting again is the most shocking thing we've seen so far today, and might be one of the most shocking things we see all day.
He still has track position, though, Andrew. Look at the field as they roll on by.
Yeah,
there's the front row.
but
He's
that's
only 8th.
But that's 7 cars. You say only 8th. We saw very little position changing aside from the very top 5. It's not exactly the easiest place to pass here at Watkins Glen. Not the hardest, but not exactly the easiest, as it looks like Sean Purcell has called it a day. Everybody else seems to be all set to go for the rest of this race. So 24 cars in total left with us. Brian Smith stays out. Kyle Purcell stays out. Kyle Diaz ran straight through the pit lane, took no service, and is back on the racetrack here. He's making his first start with the Icon Cup Series here this evening. An independent driver and a very tasty looking paint scheme.
And he does. Never really was particular to Fruity Pebbles. I was always a Cheerios kind of guy.
Not the Cheerios. Oh, man. Well,
I'm the Cheerios, man. You gotta love them.
Well, we're going to get this race restarted here in just a moment, and something we haven't touched on yet is weather conditions for this race. We talk about tires being durable potentially, and these guys double stinting these tires, if you will, going both stages on the same set. I think it can be done based on the weather conditions. It's not very hot here, 72 degrees in the air, 80 degrees on track, so a very calm New York day here in September. We're going to get this race restarted, though, down to the Geico restart zone. Ryan Smith in control, Kyle Purcell second. We are back green at Watkins Glen. Jacob Smith straight over to the inside, blocking Adam Ball into turn 1, and Smith is looking aggressive here on the restart.
That was one heck of a block there. I thought they were going to end up 3 wide. As Smith moved past Ryan Patty and Kyle Diaz, he's moved into the 5th spot. You said, Andrew, it's tough to pass here, but he's maximizing the ability to restart well on those new tires. Next to Finnegan now, draws alongside. Finnegan's going to let him have it going into the bus stop. So that's 4 spots in, what, 4 corners?
I'm really surprised at just how quickly he fired out of the hole there. That was an impressive restart for sure from the 21 car. Fires up to the 4th position very, very quickly. And this puts everybody else kind of behind the 8 ball. Cameron Thompson is sinking down the order a little bit. Kyle Gilbert here in the 11th spot. Kyle Diaz is sinking. He's down to 7th. Ryan Patty moves into 6th. The spoiler in all of this right now... Whoa! Cody Neal skidding through turn 6 and off into the dirt nearly. Is going to rejoin right behind Jacob Gladulich and Zach Lockett. He's going to fall all the way to 18th position. He was in the top 5 in Stage 1, now out of it here in Stage 2. Kyle Purcell, Nathan Brzezowski, the couple of newcomers here to the stage front, as Jacob Smith is so aggressive.
I don't think that was aggression there, Andrew. I think that was hanging onto a race car. He popped the curb in turn 1. He almost turned Brzezowski off of his nose with the run that he had, just trying to keep a hold of that race car. And some pretty heads-up driving, I will say. Takes a look into the bus stop, but he's not going to make a move too far back as they bounce over these curbs through this bus stop. It's so difficult sometimes. Brzezowski has a slip-up. Smith moves on by, and I think Finnegan's going to take advantage of it as well. Ryan Patty goes on through, and Brzezowski falls all the way back into the clutches of Kyle Diaz.
Jacob Smith making sure to defend here over Nathan Finnegan. Smith now into the 3rd spot, drifting there through turn 6 and taking a low entry to turn 7. A very aggressive start to the stage for him on new tires, but these top 2 have not pitted at all yet today. Brian Smith, Kyle Purcell, old tires and old fuel. Remember, we were told about 21 laps to a tank, so if you save a little bit here, you can absolutely stretch an extra 3 laps out of it, especially through that caution period. I think that's what the 78 and 01 are doing, and this could pay dividends for each driver. That could be a bunch of stage points, especially for Kyle Purcell, who earned none in stage 1.
It was surprising to me, Andrew, to see that Brian Smith and Kyle Purcell stayed out. I was just about as shocked as you are. But let's think about the playoff picture here. You know, as a reminder to our viewers at home, only the top 5 drivers in the Icon Cup Series earn stage points. So right now, you've got Smith, Purcell, Jacob Smith, Nathan Finnegan, and Ryan Patty earning stage points. You've got 2 other playoff drivers inside the top 10, Adam Ball and Vincent Loria. This is not like the NASCAR Cup Series where the top 10 would earn stage points, so they're currently on the outside looking in to get some points to help their night. Now, Purcell is in position to earn 4 points. That would put him above the cut line, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 2 above right now, so this... Oh, that's a mistake. Big mistake out of Kyle Purcell. He's going to fall back here, potentially out of stage points, down to the very last stage position. So 5th place now from 2nd. That's a big mistake to make right there.
That's 4 points to 1 right there. That's 3 points lost in one corner that could be helping his playoff picture. And you got to remember, Andrew, there's always that thought in the back of your mind thinking, what might have been had I gotten those points? Are those the points that are going to knock me out of the playoffs, or are those the points that are going to win me a championship?
Well, problems for the 0-1, and somebody we talked about a little bit in stage 1 that was along with the 0-1 car is Joshua Clemens. He was in 7th there at one point in the stage, in stage 1, was up towards the front. Now he runs down in 17th spot with Zach Lockett and Logan Romney. So a big difference here for the 44 car. Not sure what's gone on to hold him back and sort him all the way back here behind Charlie Widener, Chase Lewis, and some others. But some issues there for the 44 as he sinks through this field. Now Kyle Diaz has problems. He's actually into the pit lane.
I think Kyle Diaz realized that he had gone through the pit lane and not taken any tires or gas. We've got one car smoking in the back right there. Off of the last corner, gets it back rolling. But yeah, Andrew, I think Diaz realized that he had gone through the pit box, and you said it yourself, you can only go about 21 laps on a fuel run. So that is kind of putting him into his window right there, as you saw gas and go.
Yeah, fuel only stopped there for the 26 car, I think, realizing he just didn't quite have enough fuel, didn't have enough from saving. if you're going to commit to that, you've got to commit from the drop of the green flag. To save about 7-8 miles of fuel, that's a tall order. And it's not just getting to the end of lap 24, Zach. We've talked about this before. You have to get to the end of lap 24 for stage points and the stage itself, and then the extra lap or two that it takes to get back to the pit lane as Jacob Smith hits the outside wall. In fact, here comes Kyle Purcell. He's going to pit here, I think, realizing as well he might not have had enough fuel in the end.
Yeah, Kyle Purcell called out he was going to be hitting the pit lane. He's bringing Brzezowski with him. That's going to move Vincent Loria up into or wait, no, Vincent Loria was already up there.
Ooh, last second call there for the box for the 0-1. He's going to drop like a rock. This is also going to bring teammates Chase Lewis and Logan Romney in. So the 42 and 84 will come in and pit. Brian Smith, though.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Andrew. Brian Smith has not come to the pit lane yet. Still on the racetrack. Do you think he's saving fuel to run to the end of the stage?
Yes. Yeah, I think that was the play all along, for sure. Was to run the two stages, and that's what I'm saying. If you're going to commit to it, you've got to commit to it early. And I think he committed to it early. He's one of those drivers that generally does if he's going to. That said,
pit lane right here.
Must not have had enough. I don't know why else he would have stayed out. There's no other benefit because you're losing everything that you gain. So I think the attempt was to go for it, and he must not have had enough fuel to go to the end.
Brian Smith has long-term picture, and you think back to the point standings, he's the #1 seed coming into the playoffs. He had 11 wins, or he has 11 wins right now, and so many points that could carry him through that he really doesn't need to worry about taking a risk like that. So why not switch it up? Why not try another strategy? Use this as a bit of a throwaway race to see if he can gain something or even lose something. Even if you roll through the next two races, Andrew, there's nothing saying that Brian Smith is going to be a sheer fire knockout. So why not take the chance you have now?
Now my pit call here for Jacob Smith is going to be that he wins the stage and stays out at the caution here to have track position going into stage 3. I think he's going to stay out and then pit early in stage 3 because you can just about stretch this fuel long enough to do so. So watch card 21 here in a moment. He's going to win this stage in another lap as long as he can hang on over Nathan Finnegan. And I think he's going to stay out. And I think others might as well. I think that might have been why he came in and topped off. I think he might have had that eureka moment during the last lap or two of stage 1. Realized,
like
hang on.
Now.
Well, yeah, realized, hang on. You can pit at the beginning of stage 3, stay out at the end of stage 2, have all that track position going into the stage. And we might even see these guys like Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, Vincent Loria attempt something like that if they're on their game. That might be the way to win this race. So last lap here of stage 2. And it looks like, again, Jacob Smith is going to stay out, maybe. He's stayed out this far. I think he's going to stay out at the stage caution. I think he's going to use the track position to pit early in the stage and minimize the amount of times he's got to pit. I think we might see Finnegan and Patty try the same thing as they get free through turn 6. Who knows? We'll see as we're going to come around and complete stage number 2. Jacob Smith with the stage win. And caution will fly here in just a moment. There it is. Vincent Loria, Cameron Thompson, they also collect stage points. Cody Neal was oh so close. Adam Ball in the top 10. Kyle Gilbert. Kevin Gunther, Cody Eldred also make the top 10 here, but it's only the top 5 who earn those stage points. And Jacob Smith earns the stage win. Interesting strategy moves here, Zach.
Still trying to do math in my head right now. I see where Jacob Smith is going, and I see where Brian Smith is going. I'm watching because they have been the only cars that have relatively been leading this race other than Finnegan today. So I'm kind of watching where all of their strategies lie and how things could end up coming around for each of them at the end of this race or towards the end of this race. So you said Jacob Smith might pit early on in the stage, in the third stage. He needs to hit a margin of at least 9 to 10 laps to be in his fuel window for the end of the race.
Which is doable. This stage was only 12 laps, and they pitted a lap or two after the stage began. So only about 10 laps have been run, 11 laps now.
But he's clocking off caution laps now, too.
Yeah, but watch the telemetry graphic. I had it up a moment ago. He's been putting the clutch in a lot. He's going to do it here again. 10 more laps to get to... Let's see, the number he's got to hit is lap 33. He's only got to go about 6 more laps.
Lap 33, yeah, that would put him about 21 laps to go as he crosses the line. So
it's well within range.
It's in range. It's just he's got to be able to make those margins. You know, clicking off caution laps right now is going to help him save fuel, but he's only going to get about maybe 2 to 3 caution laps at most to save that fuel.
I mean, he doesn't
need
need
any
of
that race car.
He doesn't need any. He's got enough fuel as it is.
And maybe this could stretch him an extra lap or two to help him with better strategy and have better tires there at the end of the race.
It's all going to come to a head here very quickly. I like this strategy move. I didn't like it at first, and, well, he could have used this strategy move even without pitting at the end of stage 1 and then pitting again at the beginning of the stage, but I still like it. I like the way it's working out. I didn't like it before. I didn't like it with the pit at the end of the stage and then coming in, but I like it now. I think I'd like to see some of these playoff guys go for it, because I think pitting early and getting that track position, running your own race early on, knowing you're not going to have cautions, would be a really good way to go. The only thing is you're going to have worse tires later, but I think it's going to work out if you just stay patient. And there you go. He's going to stay out. So I've called that one nicely. The problem is there aren't many other drivers doing it with him. You see, KU Motorsports will stay out, so they're on that strategy game. But Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, everybody else is coming in early. Coming in with these guys. They're all going to pit, and then they're going to pit again at some point. So it's just it's minimizing pit stops, and if you pit here, you still have to pit again, whereas if you stay out here, you still have to pit one more time. There's a saying, it's 6 to 1 half dozen the other.
You lost me.
6 to 1 half dozen.
Now I'm understanding it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's 6 to 6 basically. All right, it's 6 to 1 half dozen. So you could do it this way, you could do it that way. Either way might work. I think the KU Motorsports strategy is going to work out best. You see Cameron Thompson doing it. He might have been listening in the broadcast. I don't know. But clearly there's been a play from KU Motorsports to get track position to begin this stage, because you see Jacob Smith, who works with them a lot, Vincent Loria, Cody Neal, and Josh Clemens all staying out, knowing that they only have to pit one more time and they can stretch this fuel. They don't even have to stretch it, really. They can just stay on the racetrack and keep the track position they have. They all took 4 tires at the end of stage 1. So they're set, and Brian Smith is going to have to race past them and burn his stuff up a little bit. Brian Smith has been on the racetrack already for a handful of laps. We'll see how it works out, and we will talk to driver 21. The other interesting part is Brian Smith is in that Discord channel with them. So, interesting how this is working out for sure. But let's bring in Jacob Smith, who is trying this strategy out. And, you know, I was confused at first, Jacob, when you pitted at the end of stage 1 and then pitted again under that stage caution. But then I started to realize where your guys' brains were at with staying out here. I'm assuming you're going to make an early pit stop here in stage 3, then run to the end.
Yeah, we're well in the fuel window for only one more stop. Don't even need to take a full tank. So the first stop was a 4-tire and fuel change, and then I just topped off on fuel at the stage break. I knew I was pretty much committed to that strategy anyway. So we'll see how it pans out. I know Brian's got, you know, a full tank and he's got less fuel to take under green, but he has to work his way back through the field.
Now, you guys could still save some fuel here to save some time on pit lane. How crucial is it, and how easy is it to do that here?
Depends on who's behind us. Right now, I've just been saving as much fuel as I can under caution, and I'm expecting only to take a few more seconds than Brian. So definitely going to be tight. If Brian gets through these couple drivers pretty quick, then he'll probably have it, but it was a risk I was willing to take. I know him and I were going split strategy from the start, so we'll see how it pans out.
I'm curious if you're willing to tell us, are you going to take tires when you come in pit? Because that would be a big difference maker. And how big of a difference are those tires? We saw you fly through the field there on that restart on 4 tires.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that one quiet. I'm debating internally what I'm going to do there, so I'm not fully committed on tires or no tires yet.
There you go, Jacob Smith, stage 2 winner rather. And who knows, maybe a race win on the way for you. Could play playoff spoiler. Best of luck here.
Thanks, guys.
Jacob Smith with the stage 2 win. We'll move him back down to KU Motorsports with Cody Neal, Vincent Loria, Josh Clemens, and Brian Smith is sitting in there this evening, which again is just oh so interesting to me. But Zach, this is going to be an interesting strategy race to the end. I think there's 3 different ways you could have gone. The Jacob Smith and KU Motorsports strategy, the Brian Smith strategy, and then the rest, the Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty strategy to basically pit every opportunity. It's going to be a relatively similar result for Brian Smith and Ryan Patty and Nathan Finnegan. The kicker here is what KU Motorsports can do. And it's going to be very important for Vincent Loria to maximize all he can on this restart. Down to the Geico restart zone we'll go. A strategy race is about to unfold before your very eyes. Watkins Glen is back green for the Icon Cup Series. Kyle Purcell up multiple rows and diving to the inside of turn 1. What a move!
Oh, spinning in the back. That's Gilbert going into the inside wall.
He gets the car pointed the right direction again. Brian Smith is up to 4th. Kyle Purcell jumps up to the 6th position. I'm not sure exactly where he restarted. Zach, can you go back and get a look? Because that was huge.
I'll be able to tell you here in just a second. I was just looking for black flags to see if anybody had jumped the start, if anybody had made any sort of moves. But no, it looks like everyone is clean and green. And I can tell you for certain that Kyle Purcell, he started 9th. There were 5 cars in front of him on that inside line, and he was able to get multiple. He jumped Kyle Diaz, he jumped Clemens, Brzezowski and Cody Neal were 3 wide with him off of turn number 1. The only one that still managed to stay in front of him was Cody Neal. That was one heck of a move by Kyle Purcell to get that car up there and maximize that position. As you see fighting going on right behind him, going down into turn number 1. That's Romney trying to make a move for P10, and he's going to get it over Diaz with Finnegan now making moves on that 26 car.
Side by side up the S's though for 2nd place. Vincent Loria, Brian Smith. Smith gets sideways. Loria hangs on as Cameron Thompson and Cody Neal are going to fight right behind them for 4th. Oh, and Ryan Patty goes out in the grass a little bit. He got by Kyle Purcell as there's a blink from the 67 car. An all-out race has broken out, and these guys don't have to go far to get into territory to make it to the end. And if they can save some fuel, they can save some time on the pit lane as well.
That they can. But all of this fighting, everything going on behind him is exactly what Jacob Smith wanted to see. The bigger gap he has to the drivers behind him is going to really help when he goes into the pit lane. And now they're side by side again.
Oh, Loria trying to hang on. Going to come down and door slam the 78. They're going to crash. And the 78 is all over the place. Ryan Smith trying to get the car handled. Romney slams the inside wall trying to pass him. Unbelievable.
Lots of... there are times that I'm glad we can't hear race communication. Brian Smith is now crab walking that race machine around this track. Look at that right front, Andrew. He can't really even turn that car. Oh my goodness, look at the steering wheel. He is a sitting duck at the moment.
Patinko gets the wall going by. Brian Smith now out of the running for the win. He'll be able to come in and pit, but it's going to be a long repair for the 78 car. This is going to put him behind the 8 ball for sure. He's going to try to get through the bus stop chicane. It's not going to happen. He's going to take the slowdown penalty instead, which he'll be able to serve pretty easily here. He's just got Brock Hersey behind him.
Now this is going to hurt. Brian Smith does not have stage points from stage 2. To be perfectly honest, I don't even remember if he has stage points from stage 1 either. That was...
he does. No, he has a handful.
He finished third, so
and he's got 58 points coming into this round. So he's got some decent room as Vincent Loria sinks down through the field. Now he's got that damage from the crash with the 78 car. No caution, of course. As one car goes wide, that's Brzezowski. That promotes Kyle Purcell to 5th, Josh Clemens to 6th, and Loria back into 7th. Brian Smith, it looks like, has made it to pit lane. He's got a lot of points that he can fall back on, but this is that race where he thought he was confident that he could win this race. And I think he still could have, if not for that incident with Loria. Maybe still should have, even, for the 78 car. But that's how the playoffs go, right? That's part of it.
That it is. Ryan Patty gets a big snap of oversteer coming out of the carousel. And I will say, Andrew, the communication between the two of them, Vincent Loria and Brian Smith, that is, after the incident occurred, was very colorful. And
well, can you imagine their Discord channel?
Oh, we've got one car around. It's Romney right before the last corner.
Out of turn 6, problems for the 42.
Pit lane. And to your point, Andrew, yeah, I can absolutely imagine what is going on, considering the two of them are relatively close. We see Romney going around right there. Yeah, they were very not appreciative of each other after the incident occurred.
I can only imagine, as we've got a fight for second down here to the bus stop. Cameron Thompson trying to hang on over Ryan Patty, who's moved on by the 4 car. This is a huge points opportunity for the 30 of Patty.
Ryan Patty trying to find his way around Cameron Thompson, who is a non-playoff contender. So Patty looking to lock himself into the round of 8. He's being relatively patient right now, all things considered, Andrew. And look at the ticker. Look at where we're at. It's lap 33. When do we see Jacob Smith take that car to the pit lane?
Oh, a shot there from Patty to Thompson.
So
Jacob Smith is going to stay out for now. He's going to run a few more laps and try to run the car dry, I think, which is smart. You can run on less fuel, you're run a little bit faster, but the car might react differently to the bumps. We'll see how that works out for the 21 car, but he stays out for now. Thompson hangs on to 2nd. Here comes Kyle Purcell in 5th, pulling up on this fight, as they have fallen 5 seconds behind the race leader. Vincent Loria's back here in 7th, and Nathan Brzezowski, Kyle Diaz, and Nathan Finnegan runs 10th. Not sure what happened to him at the beginning of stage 3 here, but he has fallen way down as Patty tries to fly up the inside of the bus stop, gets held up here. Cody Neal back to the inside at one of the apexes there on exit. Patty cannot get by this 7 car.
No, he can't. Are we sure that's Cameron Thompson on the racetrack, or is that Ryan Newman? That Harper Motorsports entry is all by himself. He's got no teammates really to talk to right now. He's just worrying about his own race strategy, seeing what he can do for himself as Ryan Patty continues to hound that back bumper, trying to see if he can find a way around. This is shaking up the field now, because that's brought Kyle Purcell into this mix. Clemens has fallen back to the clutches of Loria, and now he's actually dropping down the running order. Finnegan up to 8th now, so Clemens into the pit lane. He's brought Diaz with him. He's bringing Widener, and he's bringing Gladulich with him as well.
I think that's Eldred that's pitting, and it is. So Cody Eldred comes into the pit lane here in the 32 car, along with Jacob Gladulich. But for Jacob Smith, he stays on the racetrack a little bit longer here. We expect him in really at any time, but he's got 6.2 seconds back to Ryan Patty and Cameron Thompson. Patty's still not able to go by the 7 car just yet, and this whole line is growing because you've got the 01 pulling up. Not far back now is the 67. Here's an opportunity, though, from Ryan Patty to the inside for turn 6.
He's finally got that car alongside enough that he can really make a charge.
Oh, he sent it hard.
He did. Thompson, I thought, let off the gas a little bit and got on the brakes to let him go. Now Cody Neal is going to say, thank you very much, sir. I'm going to try to stick my nose in there, and that's going to allow Patty to build up a 0.6 of a second gap. This is the thing about road course racing. You have to pick and choose your moves because you will get stuck fighting for too long, and you will lose too much ground. As Purcell, big wheel hop to the back bumper of the 7. He's going to try to draw alongside going into the S's.
Here comes Purcell now on the inside, then the outside, and he'll slot back in line behind the 7 car of Cameron Thompson, get held up a little bit. Now Charlie Widener is going to come on in and pit, as the pit window has fully opened up. Brian Smith, by the way, is still out of this race at the moment. We expect him to rejoin, I'd imagine, but not back on the track yet, as Jacob Smith leads this race by 6.5 seconds here on lap 36. That extra fuel will be no bother to him, that's for sure.
With all due respect to Brian Smith, do you really think he's going to come back out onto the racetrack when there's no full course yellows and not a heck of a lot of a chance for him to regain that track position?
Well, he won't get all that track position, but there's attrition still. Any one of these guys can crash at any point in time and give him more points. So if he's dedicated to the craft here, he'll get back on the racetrack and try to salvage something, as Vincent Lauria is going to come on and pit finally. That 67 car with all of that right side damage that you see there. Going to come in for, I'd imagine, tires and fuel. It's been pretty, well, it might actually be just fuel. We're seeing a lot of 2 tires or no tires.
That would be one heck of a call out of this 67 car. He's into the box now. Do we see him up on the jack at all? No.
Yeah,
maybe
fuel
take a
only.
little damage repair.
Got to try and stay competitive with that fuel call.
That's going to set him up for an interesting situation because he was already a considerable margin back from the 21 of Smith after the incident with Brian Smith. So now he rejoins the racetrack. He's 15th. He's 42 seconds off the leaders. As we look back upward, Kyle Purcell trying to make a move for 4th. He's seeing what he can do to get around, and it looks like Jacob Smith is finally taking that car to the pit lane.
And there goes Cameron Thompson to the pit lane as well with Cody Neal in the 4 car. So a big pit lap here. Jacob Smith, Cody Neal, and Cameron Thompson all pitting on the same lap. They were dedicated to the same strategy as well. So this makes sense to see them all come in here on lap 37, now 38. And Brian Smith is back on the racetrack.
Looks like he's got that car relatively fixed to a point where it's drivable. He is big time wiggling on the front straightaway.
It's hardly drivable. There's still a lot of suspension damage. You can see the wheel is kind of kicked off to the side.
Well, he's doing what he can to make it work. More credit to him.
He's 5 laps down, trying to salvage what he can out of this race.
He is having so much trouble turning that car. Look at him up the hill.
Well, this is an opportunity maybe for other drivers to gain some points and at least get closer to the 78 car. Certainly Ryan Patty's one of those drivers hoping to do so. Vincent Lauria is another. Nathan Finnegan would have to be in that camp of trying to pull up on the 78 in points. That said, that big gap, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to eat into that, especially when we go to Bristol and Kansas the rest of this round.
Oh, Bristol.
Who knows what can happen at Bristol. Here we go, Zach Lockett, Cody Neal. Cody Neal just pitted. So Neal back by the 93 car. Lockett falls down to 9th as they run. Brock Hersey there in the background, Kyle Diaz, Cameron Thompson, Robert Bluen, and oh, Bluen! Out into the dirt.
That's a big hit by Bluen. He was spun around. He knocked that car on the left side.
That's in turn 6. They'll rejoin behind Jacob Gladgelich in 19th spot. We'll get a replay as to what happened to car 99. There's going to be some contact, it looks like, with one driver, and it's going to be the 67.
Like Gloria clears the 99 going into the next corner.
And Bluen just comes on through, and Loria is committed to the corner and making his turn-in spot where he needs to. Bluen comes across his nose.
Apparently, Robert Bluen came across the radio and said that his brakes just locked up. There's not much he could do about it.
On board. Yeah, I think he missed his braking point and then definitely did get into the brakes so hard that he locked up. He's able to get back going and rejoin the field here. He'll now run 19th as we've got Nathan Finnegan going on by Kyle Purcell. Finnegan throwing the car sideways as Kyle Diaz has problems in the 26.
I think he just took that car to the pit lane by the time we caught him on the replay. See him going through the carousel. Brock Hersey right behind him. And that's Zach Lockett up in front. They're fighting behind. There's not much going on when Kyle Diaz is all by himself here.
I'm suspecting either a crash or connection issue. This is down to turn 6.
Goes into the corner. He's
connection
gone.
issue. So he disappears from the world and will unfortunately take a worse result for it. But now 14 laps are left remaining here at Watkins Glen International. Ryan Patty leading. Nathan Finnegan second, Kyle Purcell third. What a wild race. It's not quite as wild as what we saw today for the NASCAR Cup Series and yesterday for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But it's still definitely been a wild day for sure. Adam Ball in the 5th spot. Looks like... here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Finnegan just had a problem and lost a lot of time, lost a spot. See, it's still wild. Things are happening all over the place. We see one car changing positions in one spot, we try to go to it. Another car changing positions in another spot, we try to go to that. Oh, man.
So much action on the racetrack, it's hard to catch it all sometimes. Well, Andrew, we are coming up on 13 laps to go as these drivers cross the line here onto lap 42. You got to start thinking, when do these guys start deciding they want to come to the pit lane? Because, as I say that, Nathan Brzezowski takes that car to the security of the pit lane. I start wondering to myself how long these drivers are willing to go, because now they're just clicking off laps, whereas someone like Jake Smith is on new tires and he's turning laps much, much faster than these drivers. Ryan Patty, that last time by, he turned a lap of a 1:12.31, whereas Jacob Smith is back up into the 6th spot. He turned a 1:11.8.
Interesting to note, for sure. I think Smith is going to be... I think Smith is going to win the race! Robert Bluen, hang on! He's in the wall. He just got the wall hard, and that might be day done for Robert Bluen. He's got a lot of left front damage, and is locking up now into the bus stop. And that's going to be day done for the 99, I think.
Well, I guess you're right about attrition, because that's going to be another spot for Brian Smith, who just goes on... Oh, excuse me. That's going to be another spot for Brian Smith. Oh, my goodness. He should get Diaz, and if Bluen remains out of the race, he should get Bluen for P20. So, 2 extra spots for that 78 car.
A couple of drivers that have pitted here, so this is for position provisionally for about the 3rd spot of the drivers that have pitted. Cameron Thompson, Vincent Loria in the 67 that we're on board with now. There goes Robert Blue into the pit lane. Loria gets the wall.
Little tap right there. Nothing to do it. He's still rolling. We're still good. Big lunges into turn number 1. Big lock up out of the 7. That's going to bring Loria close back in.
Oh, almost contact into the S's. Loria pulling up right on the back end of the 7 car.
Being very patient with Cameron Thompson. He knows he's faster than that 7 car. He wants to get that spot. He doesn't want to get held up any longer because that's just going to cost him time with Cody Neal or Adam Ball or even Jacob Smith as they pop the curbs through the bus stop. You can see the closing rate on that 7 car from Vincent Loria as Cameron Thompson continues to hang on. He has just been a roadblock today.
Hey, he's hanging on to all that he can. He's been really impressive, I'd say.
Gotta respect it.
A lot of fun to watch for sure. Another battle deeper in the field. Kyle Gilbert, who has recently exited the pit lane, and Brock Hersey here. So Gilbert going by the 24 car. Hersey falling back. He's been eliminated from playoff contention this season. And then you've got Nathan Finnegan on Kyle Purcell. This is for second on the racetrack as they run.
This is to regain second for Finnegan as we're just waiting and watching for these drivers to take these cars to the pit lane. Big snap of oversteer out of Finnegan. You can tell that he is trying to push that car to get back up to Ryan Patty and really just to pass Purcell again. Down into third gear they run through the second to last corner, and I think Purcell is taking to the pit lane right here.
Yeah, he is.
That he is.
So he will join, it looks like Hanover Fist in the pit lane. And come on in for his stop. So the next battle on the racetrack is going to be right here, the 7 and 67 getting after it again. Thompson still trying to hang on. Loria trying to make the pass.
I think Vincent Loria is going to learn pretty quick just how much trouble Ryan Patty had getting by that 7 of Cameron Thompson. Into the final corner they go, still holding tough as we look on board of Nathan Brzezowski sitting in the 10th spot chasing Joshua Clemens right now. This is the battle behind Vincent Loria and Cameron Thompson as they roll onto the front straightaway. We've got 10 laps to go here, Andrew. There's still so much time for these drivers to make moves and make passes. Just about half a second between the 77 and the 44.
Whoa, big smoke show.
That's Bluen.
Yeah, that's Bluen, who's trying to continue on here today. He is now 2 laps down. And he'll rejoin the field here, it looks like, ahead of Kevin Gunther, who runs in 11th. Here we go, Loria into the bus stop. No dice, so it'll be Clemens and Brzezowski down to the bus stop. No dice there. But Brzezowski is on 4 brand new tires. Clemens is on old tires.
Oh, switch up right here.
Yep, Clemens loses the spot pretty easily. So this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see just how much of a difference new tires might make, and I think that's a pretty clear difference for the 77 car. He's got grip, these other guys don't.
And he does. And I think you want to talk about new tires, Andrew. Kyle Purcell has made his way out of the pit lane. He is about 7 seconds, well, 8 seconds really, behind Jacob Smith, who pitted all those laps ago. You've got about 9 laps until the end.
Try about 12 seconds. 13.
Can't do math today.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent gap. I don't think Purcell's going to run him down, and Purcell's on old tires. The first car on tires, in fact, is Brzezowski.
I wonder if that means we're going to see drivers like Ryan Patty and Nathan Finnegan make it to the box and take only fuel instead of tires, because you look at the margins now on
this late for sure, it's going to be fuel only.
Jacob Smith has closed that gap to 23 seconds. He's tracking him down, Andrew. I mean, if we want to start pulling up lap times again, looking onward, Ryan Patty last time by, he ran a 1 minute 12:77, and Jacob Smith ran a 12:40. So they're relatively close on lap times. There's not too much of a difference. However, that difference is going to go away when Ryan Patty eventually takes that car to the pit lane and brings Finnegan with him.
Tell you what, though, he's racking up some bonus points for leading laps here, so that'll be a point or two in his favor.
I will say as well, one thing that I wanted to mention early on that I completely forgot about, I absolutely love Ryan Patty's 9/11 tribute paint scheme. Obviously, that happened just about 4 days ago in remembrance of those terrorist attacks that occurred in the United States in 2001, as Patty takes it to the pit lane. Just an absolutely great-looking scheme.
Got a nice look to it for sure, and he's going to come in and take service. This should be a fuel-only stop. Now, his teammate Nathan Finnegan's going to stay on the racetrack. He continues on here through turn 1.
Don't know if they're going for each other's races at this point, but I've always been cordial with pitting with the leader. Maybe just stay on strategy as Jacob Smith now goes on by.
So Smith will take over what will provisionally be the race lead in one more pit stop for Nathan Finnegan. So with the 6-car pits, effectively the 21 will be the race leader. He has come around to nearly put a lap here on Evan Patinko.
You look at the margins, Andrew. That's a 6-second difference that Ryan Patty lost. Just about 8 seconds now, or 7, excuse me. 7 to 6 seconds that he lost being in the pit lane, and I mean, did he? I think he took fuel only.
He did, and it was only 6 seconds in the box. But it's just been pace for the 21 car. Outright pace. He's putting a second or a half second to a lap or so on these guys. A half second to a second. It's just outright pace. The 21 car has got this place figured out.
I will say, Ryan Patty did close a little bit going through these last few corners. He got it down to about 5 seconds as Finnegan finally takes that car to security of the pit lane. He's going to hit his box, and I think that's going to be fuel only for the 6 car as well.
We'll wait on confirmation here, and sure enough, down and away, 5.7 seconds. And he will exit behind Ryan Patty and Cody Neal. So Neal goes on by. Meanwhile, ooh, Vincent Loria looks on the inside of Cameron Thompson here in turn 1.
I think Vincent Loria is starting to get a little impatient with that 7 car because this has burned up his tires, trying to not lose positions here. As he gets a big run, throwing it sideways up the hill through the S's. Thompson goes defensive. Loria looking way too far back to make a move, in my opinion, but he falls back in line. Making a lot of headway through bus stop into the carousel. Getting a lot of ground in center, I will say, but I feel like a lot of his speed right now is attributed to that right front damage.
Still waiting to see if Vincent Loria can get by Cameron Thompson. Behind these guys, you got Nathan Brzezowski in the 77, Joshua Clemens in the 44, then Kevin Gunther completes your top 10 at the moment. Kyle Gilbert in 11th, Adam Ball 12th. Adam Ball having a nice quiet day. We got so used to him being in after that Daytona win that it feels weird to consider him in a spot of needing points, but with 5 laps to go here, Zach, and a puff of smoke there through turn 1. If we revisit the points graphic, as Loria has a moment, if we revisit the points graphic, Adam Ball only has 4 points to the cutoff line.
And that's not going to be very helpful with someone like Kyle Purcell pretty much leading the charge of the playoff drivers that are worried about their spot in the playoffs.
Well, how about Clemens behind him? Clemens is on the outside right now. He's certainly going to pass Jacob Gladulich, likely going to pass Charlie Widener. Widener runs down in 15th spot. Gunther, so I think Gunther is going to move into the playoffs or into the next round just based on this race. I think he's going to move above the cut line. I think Clemens will move above the cut line. Gladulich and Widener will drop out, and Adam Ball down in the 12th spot is going to be around the cut line. I think.
So this is the great thing right now that we have with the points graphic, that just about every single driver on this list except for Kyle Purcell earned stage points. So Kyle Purcell only got 1 point in that stage, so put him 3 points up on the cut line. So that's going to put, let me do math here quickly.
we've got Brian Smith getting caught up by Vincent Loria here. This could be exciting. And
he's gonna hit him.
Yeah, Smith went down and blocked the 67. I think this is going to be a little more exciting than we bargained for.
Revenge is a dish best served cold, Andrew.
I think we're going to see at least his life being made harder, if not a little extracurricular happening here.
Brian Smith becoming a walking roadblock for that 67 car. He's on the back bumper. Vincent Loria, I think he realizes what's happening here, and he just wants to get around the 78. Brian Smith going defensive now. We've got 2 laps to go right now, Andrew, or 3 to go, excuse me.
A shot there from Loria trying to get the 78 out of his way. Loria has been working over the 7 car lap after lap after lap, now to just be held up by Brian Smith. A gift to Cameron Thompson, a curse here to the 67 of Vincent Loria. Loria just can't find a way by yet. And there's a lot of damage to the 78 car. He is not handling properly, but he can put his car where he needs to hold the 67 car back. And the fading
Loria,
tires here for Loria are really showing.
Yeah, he had a big snap right there through the S's, and that's cost him time to Cameron Thompson. Visually, that 78 car, Brian Smith, looks okay, but we've seen the onboard. We see how much he's struggling in that car, and Loria has caught him very much quickly to get back by. And you got 2 laps to go coming to the line, Andrew. I don't know how much more patient you can be when you know you could potentially get another spot on that 7 car, and Loria is one of the drivers that needs a few points to hold on to what he has in what would be a Final 4 spot. Patty, the one that below him, and then Adam Ball below him again. So there's open opportunity for drivers to gain points on Vincent Loria. I would dispatch of Brian Smith as quickly as you can if you want to get up to Cameron Thompson.
I don't know.
It doesn't even look like you can catch him.
I don't know that Loria needs to be too pressed about it, personally. I think that's going to make a bad issue worse if he moves the 78 car at this point. All for 1 point. And I know I've been a big proponent of that 1 point mattering a lot, but I think this is 1 point that he might just have to sit without. I don't know if he wants to poke the bear even harder right now with Brian Smith. I think it would be wise to sit back and take the medicine, how fair or unfair it might be. We're not going to get into that part of it, but
he's got a look on the inside here now on Brian Smith. He might have a run off the corner.
This is going to be interesting.
Well, as they continue, Jacob Smith is rounding these final corners, and the white flag has just come out for this 21 car, brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. He's done an excellent job, Andrew. We've talked about him a lot throughout the season. He's been a part-timer, but he's shown a lot of speed that he can contend with these full-time drivers, and we've made the question multiple times as to why he's not full-time, because he has shown up to a lot of these races, shown speed, shown he can be competitive, and shown he can be a playoff contender should he have had the chance. And now as he rolls through the bus stop going into the carousel, he can just about lick the stamp and send it home with a victory today, as he's got 6.5 seconds over Ryan Patty.
Plenty of daylight back to the 30 car. It's all clean and green home for the 21. 2 corners to go between the 21 and a race victory here for the first time in the Icon Cup Series. A part-timer and a spoiler here in round 2 of the round of 12 in the playoffs of the Icon Cup Series. Jacob Smith will exit turn 7 a victor, a race winner in the Icon Cup Series at Watkins Glen International. Back to what might be the...
Ran out of fuel. Ryan Patty just ran out of fuel.
He's across the line. He's across the line.
Oh, good. I was about to say.
So our next bit of drama then is the 67 and 78, and that is sorted out quickly. Not a whole lot of battles coming to the line. A lot of these guys got spread out of Ball back here in the 19, just ahead of Cody Eldred. That's about the closest battle on the racetrack. But it'll be Jacob Smith, Ryan Patty, and Cody Neal, the top three. We'll talk to each of those drivers. Nathan Finnegan, Kyle Purcell complete your top five. Cameron Thompson hangs on for sixth. Vincent Lauria seventh. Nathan Brzezowski eighth. And we'll get a full view of your race results here in just a few, but that will do it for us. From Watkins Glen, as far as on-track activity is concerned, that is it. And here comes driver 21 to do, I'd imagine, some pretty big, smoky burnouts. And sure enough, the 21 going to give it a big smoke show down the front stretch at Watkins Glen. Well deserved today. A non-playoff driver going to victory lane in the Icon Cup Series playoffs. That's going to play spoiler. And guess what, Zach? That's one more position that's going to go to somebody by points.
That it is. And the points should shake up quite a bit tonight after how this race went for stage points and for just overall track position. You see a couple of drivers below the cut line that you don't want to see below the cut line. Drivers that have been quick and have lost a lot of ground today.
And that is a motor expired now for the 21 car. That's going to be it for him as far as burnouts go. So let's take a look at the unofficial race results here, Zach. With the race win, it's Jacob Smith. Second place, Ryan Patty. Third place, Cody Neal. Then Nathan Finnegan, Kyle Purcell. Complete your top five.
And through the rest of the field, Cameron Thompson, Vincent Lauria, Nathan Brzezowski, that whole group right there, they were involved in a lot of crazy switch-ups for position. Joshua Clemens brings home a ninth place finish. That's going to help his point situation a lot. That should help put him above the cut line. Kevin Gunther finishes in the 10th spot right behind him. And then rolling through the rest of your finishers tonight, 11th through 20th, that is. There's a lot of drivers you actually didn't expect to see down here as well. Kyle Gilbert, Adam Ball, Cody Eldridge, Jacob Gladgelich, Charlie Widener. Those guys are in spots that they are needing points to help their playoffs continue. Zach Lockett, first car one lap down of Batinko, Brock Hersey, Hanover Fiss, and Kyle Diaz round out your 20th place finishers.
The back end of the field will consist of 21st place Robert Bluen, 5 laps down, and Brian Smith just couldn't quite get to him to get that extra spot, so Smith will go 22nd. Logan Romney 23rd, Chase Lewis 24th, Sean Purcell an early exit in 25th, and Stephen Tuck, it looks like, did not make the start of the race despite being here this evening. So we'll go back and go into replay mode and take a look at, take a conversation, I should say, with Jacob Smith, our race winner this evening. A job well done here at Watkins Glen. The strategy just worked out for you. Were you ever concerned at the back end of that race that maybe these guys would get the best of you?
Yeah, I was a little concerned, Brian. Brian definitely had some pace there, but I knew, based on his strategy, he was going to have to work his way back through the field, which could be a challenge. So I was pretty confident with my strategy going in and stuck to it, and it worked out. So pretty happy there, but I definitely was worried. I know Brian was pretty quick.
And he ended up being dispatched of pretty quickly, so that works out for you. So what's next then for Jacob Smith? Of course, you're not in the playoffs, so we don't have as many of those big-time questions to ask you. What's next for Car 21? When do we see you back with the Icon Cup Series?
Car 21 is going to be taking a break for at least a week, maybe two, but we'll be back probably for Talladega at least. Love the super speedways, and hopefully we'll pull off a win there too.
Okay, you maybe go back to victory lane on a road course. You show up for the Roval.
I suck at the Roval, so it's possible, but I'll definitely need to put in some work at the Roval.
Well, I challenge you, if you can, to race that and try to go back to victory lane here in the Icon Cup Series and play spoiler in that race as well. Congratulations here, Jacob. A job well done. 30 laps led in a race victory. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
We'll go down and get second place, which will be Ryan Patty in the 30. And it looks like we'll have to wrangle him up here, Zach, but I'm sure this guy, who is the top driver of all playoff drivers in this race, is going to be pretty happy.
That he is. Ryan Patty's going to bring home a second place finish on the night. He leads 10 laps on the day And Ryan, you did great today to bring home those good points finishes, but do you think you might have had something for that win with the strategies differing between you, Finnegan, and Jacob Smith there at the end?
No, I think we really did all we could. I can't say I don't think I belong on the podium, but I don't think we had the fastest car, and that was pretty obvious. That 21 car was pretty untouchable today. But my philosophy for these road courses is just try to, control what you can control, keep it clean. I'm kind of annoyed. I had no incidents all day until I went off course under caution, just not paying attention. But I'm very, very, very happy and proud to be P2 today. I think we overachieved.
Well, you definitely benefited from a lot of different scenarios. You benefited a lot from some strategy calls on track, the incidents from drivers up front, mainly Brian Smith and Vincent Loria. You were able to capitalize on the mistakes made by other drivers, and you still managed second. I gotta ask, because we had been talking about it, Andrew and I, in the booth, just about all race. Do you think you were still quick enough to contend with Jacob Smith on your older tires, even though you made a fuel-only stop there at the end? Because the lap times were pretty close together.
Yeah, honestly, you never really know, right? Once you get out on track and you're right on somebody's bumper, it's definitely going to make them look backwards, and that's when you kind of force them into a mistake. So if we were a little bit closer, then yeah, I think we were close enough on time that it might have gotten in his head a little bit. But with him having a 5-second advantage there, the way it's shaked out, we just didn't have enough.
I can understand that. Well, you brought home a great finish tonight. I said it on broadcast. I'm going to say it again. I love the paint scheme you have on that car. It's a nice tribute to see, and congratulations again on your second place finish.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's not 9/11, but it was this week, so I thought I'd do something in remembrance. It's a while ago, but we'll never forget.
Absolutely. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
That was Ryan Patty Andrew, your second place finisher on the night, and one driver that we know that we've seen up here quite frequently, Cody Neal. He's going to bring it home in third.
And Cody had so many good runs to get the season going, missed some races, missed the playoffs, and finally one goes right for you here, Cody Neal. Third place on the night. Is there anything you could have done differently to get this race win?
Oh, probably not. Jacob really had some pace, and I was even struggling to keep up with Patty. Patty was fast, but it was fun out there. Enjoyed being back up top. Hopefully we can be there next week.
I know it's been a season of struggles for you, despite all the speed that you've shown, I think race-winning speed for sure. Is this kind of just go out and do anything you can mode now for the rest of the races that you can run this season?
Yeah, I'm just going to try and play spoiler and help my teammates that are still in the playoffs and see what we can do as a team.
Speaking of your teammates and the strategy you guys pulled today, do you feel like it worked out for everybody at KU Motorsports? I mean, I know there were, 3, 4, 5 of you guys committed to the same strategy there at one point.
Yeah, Jacob got the win as part-time. Vinny would have been up there, but he got in some trouble with Brian there, and I finished pretty well. But yeah, Josh held his own, so I think that strategy paid off pretty well for us.
There you go, Cody Neal, third place this evening. Didn't quite get up to the front and lead some laps, but very, very close with the 4-car. Congratulations, Cody. Good to talk to you again, and good to see you finishing up front where you belong.
Thanks, guys.
A third place effort for Cody Neal this evening. And that'll do it for us from Watkins Glen International. Let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of this season. Next up, Bristol, a week from today, September the 22nd. And here's fingers crossed to hoping that broadcast opens the way it's supposed to, and we don't have the very abbreviated pre-race show that we did today. We can set the stage for some more of these storylines and whatnot. But Zach, Bristol is going to be something else.
That it is. Now we've got drama heading into the next race. You've got Loria and Smith. Not exactly
heading to
the
a short
happiest
track, of course.
That is true. Kansas is going to be one heck of an interesting race, in my opinion, especially since it's a cutoff race. There's a lot of drivers that we've seen that have been very, very quick on the intermediate tracks, and Loria's one driver to look at. Ryan Patty's another driver to look at. I think Finnegan is a great driver to look at when you go into Kansas. There's a lot of great picks that you could make going into the next two races, and then obviously Talladega and Charlotte right to follow. We're taking a discipline out of each of the next 4 races, and really you could say it started with Watkins Glen tonight. You've got a road course, a short track, an intermediate or a speedway, as some like to refer to it, a super speedway, and then we fall right back to a road course and then another intermediate track. So there's a lot of disciplines coming up, and it's really going to test these drivers over the next few weeks to see who is ready to get into the round of 8 and who's ready to get into the round of 4.
Definitely, I like the mix, and I like how things are changed here. The NASCAR Cup Series, I enjoy what they've done with scheduling. Bristol is going to be a cutoff race. The Charlotte Roval is a cutoff race. Martinsville is a cutoff race. Those are great and exciting. We love that, but I actually kind of like what's happened here. You have all of the crazy happening in races 1 and 2 of these rounds, right? At least for the round of 8 or round of 12 and the round of 8. You have Watkins, Glen, and Bristol here in the round of 12. Talladega and Charlotte in the round of 8. Then you go to intermediates to wrap up the rounds. Pretty similar racetracks as well, Kansas and Las Vegas. That'll play elimination, where you're pack racing almost. You can get kind of strung out, but everybody's very close in speed. Everybody's very close in the racetrack, and you can control a little bit of your own destiny and have yourself a proper race for an elimination. I like that a lot. I know everybody likes the crazy elimination races, and I get it, but this is crazy setting up for really big scenarios in those elimination races at those intermediate tracks. I like the way this is going to shake out. We'll see how it works out in these next couple of weeks. Watkins, Glen, Bristol, Kansas here for the round of 12. Watkins, Glen is behind us. Bristol and Kansas remain. 460 more laps of racing in the round of 12, Zach, before we move on to the round of 8 and hit halfway through these playoffs. Keep along with us here at Pit Stop TV. We can see what's up next for us. And you can see, not quite actually, to that Bristol race here on this graphic, because we have a lot happening this week, Zach. Not tomorrow night, 2 nights from now. We head out to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, so a preview of what you can expect here when Icon goes to the Roval. It's the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series at the Charlotte Roval on Tuesday. I know that's going to be a fun one for us. I know you love anything Charlotte. I love anything Charlotte. The Roval is going to be a lot of fun, and those guys have a lot of fun in their chase for sure. Then we're headed out to Martinsville Speedway for qualifying and heat racing for the 1-8 Racing Media National Tour in their Martinsville 300 event. Then they're racing on September 26th, at Martinsville for their actual race day. And then, Zach, you see, we've got a big event this weekend. We're going racing at 3 different tracks, all within the span of 24 hours. We have the NARL Ironman Challenge. We're going racing at Suzuka, Road America, and Bathurst with GT3 cars in a 27-hour estimated 27-hour broadcast. That is going to be crazy.
It's going to be one of the craziest events we've ever covered here on Pit Stop TV. The last 24-hour race that we covered was the Majors 24. We covered the first 6 hours and we covered the last 6 hours, and I can assure you I was tired after that one. I'm sure you were as well. That was one heck of a broadcast to be a part of, and I think this next one coming up for the NARL is going to be one heck of a broadcast. I can see, though, as I'm about to run through the Pit Stop social medias, as I always do in every Pit Stop TV broadcast, we have a new scheme from Cody Williams Designs on that late model stock car for the 1-8 Racing Media National Tour. It looks absolutely beautiful. You know I'm a fan of yellow and black, but there's so many great places to watch along with these races coming up. PitStopTV.com to tune in to our website to find all the great things Pit Stop TV, see all the great people we have here at Pit Stop TV. Facebook.com/PitStopTV, Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV, Twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, YouTube.com/PitStopTV1, the best, the main, the greatest place to watch Pit Stop TV, and then X.com/PitStopTV_.
That will wrap things up for us from Watkins, Glen. Thanks for tuning in, and a big thank you to our partners here with the channel, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design, helping us get to and from the virtual racetrack day in, day out, week in, week out. It has been fun for sure here at Watkins, Glen. Thanks for tuning in with us through the technical difficulties to start the day and sticking with us here at Pit Stop TV. We certainly do appreciate it. For myself and Zach Murtis, thanks for watching. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.